Hey Zach, how we doing?
Just waiting on everyone else.
Sounds like a plan. How was your week?
Slow.
Slow has its uses, I suppose. I've never quite found a reason for not enjoying the slowness. Or maybe it's just the natural amount of chaos that circulates in and around my life. Too many people involved, I suppose. Let's do a quick poke. We know that Muzan will be running a few moments behind. I haven't heard from anyone else as to them neither making it or making it, so we shall see. But while we wait for others to arrive, do you remember where we were?
I remember the coterie was crashing at what used to be Faustina's place. And Bartleby got drunk. And Zach had a vision about a possible fate of both the Pisketeers and the Rosie should a wizard fall. And the general consensus was that the wizard was one of the Tremere. But there is another possibility that I hadn't mentioned in the previous episode, which is that the wizard could represent the Tremere of Thornton as a whole.
I see. What makes you think that? Or not think that, as the case may be?
I was just considering several different possibilities, and the episode happened to end before I could have Zach introduce that possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Or even consider it.
I see.
I forgot it was Friday. I am so sorry.
Oh, greetings and salutations.
These things happen.
Way to wrecking ball in. How we doing? How's work?
Good. Work? Oh, I had my last day a few days ago.
Oh, I see. So it is one.
Actually, yesterday. It was yesterday, not a few days ago.
You guys go out with a pizza party?
No. Because technically today was the last day. I just didn't work today. For I don't work Fridays. For reasons.
Understandable. Well, all the same, very, very glad that you enjoyed your season, it seems like. I never... Now, when they go out of season, when we officially reach the midpoint of too far for them to be in operation, do they like take everybody's information and say, hey, we'll call you next year? Or do they just simply pack up to, I don't know, South America where, Carnival isn't that far away?
It's connected to Spencer's. That's what it is. And also, yeah, they don't really contact you, but I just know somebody who can get me a job there.
Oh, nice. It's always good to have cronies.
Yeah.
How deal?
Well,
actually, it would be Kambawa, not Ohio. Since it's nighttime.
But it is nighttime.
Yeah, I think Ohio would be for morning.
Yep, Ohio, because I'm on Thank You Scott is hello, good morning, how are you? And then Kambawa is good night.
But we're all friends. Why wouldn't we just say moshi moshi? Or whatever it is.
Or that.
We're all friends. No need to be official and quite proper. Of course,
Yeah,
Dia is Toreador. So.
No bits and pieces of Japanese, but that's about it. That's mostly from my anime phase.
Excellent. So, dear, how we doing? How was your
It's
week?
a phase?
Yeah, you'll grow out of it one day. 60,
No.
70.
In my cosplay crunch, we're leaving Thursday night next week.
Oh, I see.
And I still have several bits and bobs to sew onto my costume.
Okay. Where are you guys going? And what are you dressing up as?
We're going to the Colossal Con at Kalahari in Wisconsin Dells.
Okay.
And I have a couple different ones, but the main one that's giving me a problem is for legendary girl Utena. I'm going as Utena, and she's going as Anthe.
Okay.
Which is kind of the switch, because Utena's the white girl, and Anthe is Indian. So it's kind of funny that we swapped it.
Okay. Nice.
But
well, I know you guys have a blast. You might even get a chance to see Millie or Aaron or Cassandra or Kai.
oh, they're going. That's cool.
Well, you know, the Dells isn't that far from Milwaukee, and the way that they keep running into things, I'm sure that they would need to escape somewhere.
Yeah, I am sure.
So
I'm not brave enough to do my own OC at a con yet. Just we're not there yet. We're getting there.
Well, we know Muzan's gonna be running a few moments behind. I did not hear from Dax. They may have drifted off. They recently just got an additional day off because of all of the hoopla for their particular job. So, let's toss out a hey, how you doing? Because I vaguely remember them saying something, but I forgot exactly what. If that makes sense.
Pizza. I made a pizza. 1 second. Oh.
Do we want to bet that he burned the pizza?
No, because I don't think it'll make a difference in whether he eats it or not. Oh, excuse me. Alright, missive sent. Ooh. All of the missives are out. Everyone who is anyone and everyone has received a missive and the opportunity to join us here in these hallowed halls of chaos. That is the South Suburbs Coterie, the Coterie of Dalton, these fine few associates. Now, before we go too much into our live moment with these characters, does everyone remember where they were? We know that Zach most assuredly does.
I If I remember right, there was a drunken Tremere on the floor. We were trying to go to bed. Trying to decide who sleeps with who. That kind.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, indeed. So who does, in fact, sleep with whom?
I believe Frost was with Zach.
The girls were meant to be with Dia.
And I think Jax was left to her own devices while Dancer Dan and Muzan shared a room.
And I didn't burn it, it was a timer.
You say that, but no pictures, no proof.
Just because I like my food burnt doesn't mean shit. Oh, whoops. Forgot to close the door.
Oh, could you imagine in the church corridor? And I can't help but what a beautiful wedding. I chime in with, haven't you people ever heard of closing the goddamn door? No. Okay, now that
Concerned?
Now that that's out, you said you forgot to close the door, and that's the closest one outside of what's her name? How did you get here? No one is supposed to, that one. So yeah, when you mentioned closing the door, it was either, and they both were kind of pestering just at the background of my mind as you made remarks as to such. Now, in regards to where we are, everyone having an idea where we are with these particular characters, with this coterie of Dalton who have gone from stem to post and back again, all within the safe confines of the south suburbs, all within the carefully maintained notice of their betters, or others, not necessarily betters, considering that as far as it goes, as far as the scuttlebutt, as far as the gossip, Concordia is in fact the highest ranking member of the clan of the Rose in the area. Concordia is in fact a full-fledged senator, no matter how that came into being. Zach, their strong right hand and master of entertainments. Frost, the now head of security and protection. Muzan, the enforcer, the scourge, the dirty left hand of Concordia's will. There's a lot of accumulated power over a very short period of time. Because as far as things go, this is a coterie that ranges in age literally all over the map of kindred kind. They go from one extreme to the other. Those freshly turned and freshly killed, such as Frost, to those who've been around for a multiplicity of handfuls of decades. And they are a wealth of potential experiences and a vast number of moments gathered together. Now here's the thing. What hasn't really been fully accepted, fully dealt with, and that is, in some cases such as this, you must in fact either shit or get off the pot. The coterie has managed to hold on by the disinterest of others. They've managed to skate by in doing things and following the whims of their hearts and momentary decisions. There hasn't been a far-ranging plan. There hasn't been a plot that they've executed, predominantly because everyone else is executing plots and plans around them, and they are rushing from stem to post to put those fires out, to maintain everyone's disinterest in their downfall and disinterest in their rise. But as you all ensconce yourselves in the warm, camaraderie bosom of the Tremere of Dalton, who have, due to your presence, due to your energies and actions, have changed face. For decades, there was but one regent level Tremere of the area who all but ran the dark, secretive cabals, going so far as to exact his revenge due to his childer being put to eternal rest. Now all of those things have changed. The former regent of Gary has now taken up residence. The slow, ever-moving plot of the Tremere of Dalton no longer working specifically against the coterie and against the rest of the kindred community around them. All of those things have changed, some for better, some for worse, but as the saying goes, the show must go on, and the coterie must make a unified decision as to what role they will play in what happens next. Urzuli has carved out and begun solidifying their own domain, their own barony, for lack of a better word, their own garden. Ika, the former Baron of Riverdale, has carved out a larger space for himself, and in fact staged a defining moment of that. The Voivod of the South having expanded his domain until, well, his domain virtually is the entirety of Dalton and the contiguous outlying suburbs: Homewood, Thorndale, Thornton, Chicago Heights. And his conquest for domain to fall directly under his purview has not come to an end. Everyone has plans. Everyone has taken actions. Everyone are continuing to take actions, and the coterie sits with the two crown jewels of the entertainment community in the south suburbs in their sway. Yet they are on the run. They are in everyone's crosshairs, and they have not equivocally defended what is theirs, so that everyone else knows to not tread. Not just not tread lightly, but to not tread at all. So as we prepare to dive in, I ask one of our most important questions of the evening and the Chronicle. Are there any questions, suggestions, hypotheses, or corners we need to round off?
Rouse? Question mark.
That's a question. That's new business, and we will get to that very, very shortly. But yes, this will be a new night, unless, of course, there is a moment or two you all would like to discuss or poke at what has already taken place.
Yeah, you just want to make sure that I'm correct, because you said that when Cohen showed up, he looked really well fed, and it was very clear that there was no other regent. Do I take that to mean that he killed the previous regent, or that there is just no other regent?
That is a good question. You are intimately aware that he did say co-regent at the beginning of the evening when you first fell into his sight, when he began or attempted to begin wooing or otherwise engaging your childer and her sister. So the question is, would Concordia take the time to parse all of the information into a consumable whole, or would she ignore it?
No, because the fact he came downstairs with his mouth bloodied and was wiping it away, and then now he's stating that he's the regent and there is no more co-regent, that would bother her, and she would need to figure it out. Whether she said anything to him directly, no, she knows better than that, because don't go picking at shit like that, but she is definitely trying to suss it out in her head.
Okay. Teresa, go ahead and just go ahead and roll. If you're just trying to suss it out the details because you've already noticed what you've noticed, Teresa, go ahead and roll intelligence and etiquette or intelligence and politics.
You said politics or which?
Etiquette.
And that was intelligence and etiquette.
I see. I guess there are certain laws of comity that take precedence in situations such as this. And as long as you stay well within the laws of comity, you would never be subject to anything but the most hospitable of respects given to yourself and your coterie. Pointing out that the host is seemingly the survivor and victor of a coup would technically be bad form, unless of course you were close enough to be considered friends and associates of a different caliber. And it is without any doubt in your mind that is exactly what you all are. Your arrival clearly displaced or disbalanced someone enough that Cone was able to, do the anywhere else in the world, anywhere else bound by the laws of the Camarilla, that's a death sentence, and one does not engage in, hand to hand against a kindred, especially of a level that where they are respected as regent. Normally, But above all else, the number one rule for the tower is, well, don't get caught. It's not what you do, it's what can be proven against you. And sad to say, as much as Concordia has always seen the freedoms of Dalton as just an extension of the tower, because they were just so far out here, no one really cared, so you were able to do what you wanted. You were able to live the anarch lifestyle with the Camarilla protection. And as such, even amongst the anarchs, there are just certain things you don't do, or certain things you don't get caught doing. And to Concordia's way of thinking, to Dia's way of thinking, to what she perceives in the now, yeah, that he done stepped over several lines, and his coming down here, bloody mouth yet presentable, is a declaration of those things. Now the problem with that is technically where you all are was formerly Bear McEwen's. Where you all are is now solely the domain of Seferino, Ika. What could that spell for you?
It's reminding her the fact that he already has a little bit of a beef with her for some shit that he assumed she did. And she still denies that she had any doing of. So it doesn't look the best. I mean, deniable plausibility, whatever you want to call that. But yeah, it's not. She smiles politely at well, daylight is coming quite quickly, and I think I need to tuck the girls in for the morning and get my beauty rest, as it were. And congratulations on becoming sole regent, as it were. She looks very pointedly at Zach and Frost, and I don't know how much of a connection they still have through the weird bowl thing that they had, or whether that's completely done with now. But she's very much projecting a shush, don't talk about it sort of situation, or we'll figure it out later. There's a apprehension going on there. So yeah, she takes the one Faye and Stella, one arm and each arm, and walks them towards the bedroom, towards the end of the hall, as far away as she can get from Cohen.
But of course, he says as he inclines his head and thanks. And as that occurred, as that was occurring, are there any other questions, suggestions, hypotheses, or corners we need to round off? Or has everyone have firmly in their minds the image of where we are and where these characters currently exist? Alright.
I'm good.
Alrighty, we will take the silence and the acquiescence as true understanding. And as we prepare to dive in, as the curtain raises on our minds for where these characters are, I'd like to, from the bottom of my heart to the top of my mind and every space in between, thank you all for such engaging moments with these characters, with this coterie, with the life and times of what it's like to be in the south suburbs of the gleaming jewel of the Camarella's eye, to be in the near south suburbs, within the shadow of all of that brightness, all of that acclaim of what it's like for these characters embodied by your talents to eke out one night into the next. Thank you, thank you, and thank you. And without too much more ado, I'd like to thank you all again and say that this is officially In the Shadow of the White City, Season 7, Epilogue. 2 days short of a fortnight. When we last left our characters, when we last left this coterie, they had managed to escape the fallout of the Boulevard of the South's gathering. They managed to crash the party, bring all eyes and attention in their direction. They managed to find out some of the plans laid by Urzuli. They managed to find some of the plans laid by the Tremere. They managed to escape most attention and scrutiny and enjoy the hospitality of the Tremere. The Tremere who had, up until very recently, been working diligently to place the coterie and all that it holds into the center of everyone's attention as a sacrificial lamb, staked out so that the tiger might pounce, that you might in turn bring the tiger low. They were being manipulated towards the goal of potentially upsetting the apple cart without ever realizing that there was some strange hand at the wheel. They had the opportunity of having some protection due the efforts of their strange benefactor, Antonio Calabalarci. They had managed to have time to see many of these things happening and coming as they were wont. But if we are being honest, while the old aphorism chestnut tossed out, to be forewarned is to be forearmed, doesn't matter how many arms you have if you're all thumbs. And that seems to be where the coterie has placed themselves, fumbling forward, falling forward, not missing by a little, but missing by a lot, and managing to skate by. They've managed to slip into success, no matter how many efforts they've spent to otherwise ensure their potential downfall. And as one night ends and the day blinks by, as the coterie dies for the day, I'd like you all to each roll your rouse, and we will begin anti-alphabetical with Zach.
That's odd. I did the at first. Are we using something different now?
Oh, the syntax has changed. Remember, you need to at the bot if you're to use first.
I did at the bot, though.
Oh, it didn't show. Oh, no, that wasn't your role that came through. That was Dia. You can also use Incanu. Realm of Darkness is there as well, but it has been acting on the fritz for a while. So...
Hold on, I think I might know what the problem is. I put a space where I shouldn't. Uh-oh. Zach's getting hungry.
Indeed. That is a rousing success for the story, and perhaps a stumbling fall backwards for Zach. Because as the day ends, all passing so too quickly before Zach even realizes that it's happened. For the damned, there is no day. There is no grace of sun. There is nothing but an eternal, endless night. One that Zach has spent the better part of their existence partying their way through. More blood and vitae than you can shake a stick at. More wild times than there are tabloid journalists and paparazzi. Yet, in this moment, the beast is collecting all of that unpaid tax. Blinking open their eyes, realizing that they are still dressed for the party. Realizing they are not in their comfortable, warm, and sumptuous environment. Since everything shook loose, since Drew's true colors were revealed, since that fateful trip to Milwaukee to get more talent for the Rosie, nothing has remained the same, save that each night is something different, strange, and far removed from the comfortable days of simply tuning your guitars and playing your songs and enjoying the ebb and flow and the press of flesh. And through all of that change, for all of that change, the one constant that was there before kept fat, tongue lolling inside your head, has grown lean and hungry. Gone on the days where you would gorge on 5, 10, 15, 20 groupies a night who would willingly throw themselves to the voice that kept the party going. Those days, long, long gone. What remains is a lean and hungry beast which chooses this moment to pounce from inside your head. Chooses this moment to remind you of what it was like to really be kissed by Drew. To have those lips sliding across your skin, those fangs sinking and slipping just beneath the surface. The pleasure that exploded in the back of your head, rocketing through you, causing every fiber of your atomic structure to stand on end. To have stars dancing behind your eyes for hours after. And your ability to do the same for all of those several handfuls of groupies that threw themselves at you. To pass Drew's love into... Yes. You need that again. You need line upon line of groupies standing at your green room door, offering themselves and every portion that they might be able to put their hands or senses on. That hot, sweaty flesh just there to be picked. You need that again.
And with that thought dancing through his head, all that's dancing through his head, he's still aware where he is and why he can't just do whatever he pleases. And just how dire the consequences doing whatever he pleases could be. So would I have to make a roll for Zach to control himself, or...
Would he try? Even being
Yes.
consciously aware that it's a potential risk. The truth of the matter is, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Sometimes in the pursuit of what's important to you, you have to be bold. You have to seize the moment. You have to. Or you don't. The question is, for Zach, knowing the political potential ramifications, would he make the effort?
the effort being made would be to try to control his baser desires.
Okay, would you be so kind to go ahead and roll your resolve plus composure? Your DC is 2.
Okay, hold on. Let me pull up composure plus resolve. Dang it, this thing's taking forever to load. Great. There it goes. Okay. Peaceful, hunger, difficulty. Remember the ads. Okay, that looks good.
Oh, but looks can be very, very deceiving. Zach bites down on the hunger pangs. He smooths himself down, smooths himself back into his own head. Doesn't let himself get too far paced, too far afield. Like a bird settling after a very long flight, he centers himself. And as he inhales, becoming more mindful of where he is, forcing himself to be aware of the situation, he hears a voice he hasn't heard in years. Or a voice that he's managed to ignore far more pointedly than he hears his father's voice. Your problem is you don't apply yourself. You've never applied yourself. Every time you do, you fail because you don't have the practice to do it. The only thing you care about is your godforsaken devil's music. You can't even play anything good. And then he hears his mother in the distance. Oh, leave the boy alone. It's okay playing with Barbies. After all, you're the one who bought them for him. I didn't buy them for him to play with. I bought them so he can learn how to do. Now, we don't need that sort of language. He's not old enough for that. The boy is 16! And back and forth they go. Her defending you only because, in the part that Zach hates, that he knows, she argues with him to get a rise out of him, to get him to point that passion, which only shows itself as anger, at her. The moment the kids are in bed and Zach is out of the way, the adults play. Ever the precocious boy, Zach learned very early on what some of those tokens that they had meant. Zach learned early on why they kept copies of the hotels that they'd stayed in. They were trophies from their play. And part of him was jealous. They could play with each other. They could share softness and gentleness and other things with each other. But they didn't spare that same energy for him. And settling into himself and realizing that he's let his guard down. The ghosts of the past far closer to the surface than they have been in a very long time. As if someone reached into his memories while he was dead for the day, stirred things up, moved things, probed, pried. He manages to hold his control. He manages to hold his composure. He manages to consider the ramifications of what might happen instead of what his beast and his comfort in himself says should happen. And what should happen is him sinking his fangs into some soft, sweet thing who believes they have the rest of forever ahead of them. But he refrains. And as he's settling himself, is there anything that Zach would attempt to do, knowing where he is and where his coterie or where his newly found family actually are?
after Zach imposes himself, he takes a look around the room and makes a mental note to himself as to what he brought with him and what he didn't, and thus laying out his options before him. This is really just an effort to try to bury the memories that just popped up. Because he doesn't need that right now. At least that's what he's telling himself. He doesn't need to be dealing with that right now. Right now, what he needs is to get a hold of himself and to wait for everyone to get up so they can come up with a game plan for this particular night. But he needs something to do while he waits. What he's thinking to himself is, okay, what can he do while he waits?
And as he contemplates what's the opportunity here, we shift gaze. We shift the aim of our view, though not as far as one would expect. Zach, much like the stereotypical and tropey understanding as to what a toreador is a very handsome man. He is gorgeous. He is, according to some, angelic. He's the most artistic version of a rock star that most have ever come into contact with. Seeing him from a distance, seeing him play on the several stages that he has, is a dream come true for some. It's one of the many reasons why the groupies and their hangers-on would throw themselves so willingly into his damned embrace. The same cannot be said for Zach's roommate, at least this roommate. The other is equally as horrid, though there's something less human about how Muzan presents himself to the world. There's something old and dark. When one looks at Muzan, it is impossible to not know that it is a blessing that the animal kingdom has not developed as much of a semblance of humaneness, because for everything there's an equal and opposite number, and Muzan is that opposite number, the opposite number to all things living and those that pretend to do so, such as the kindred. There is a rail thin predatory aspect to him that is unshakable, is undeniable. He looks very much like a black and white horror brought to life in full, vivid color. So much so that it takes Zach a few moments to realize that he is conscious, because unlike most other kindred, those who pretend to be human, he doesn't bother to close his eyes when he dies for the day. He doesn't bother to affect many of the poses that others do to pretend to sleep. He doesn't do those things. He stops where he is. He dies for the day, and he returns to the living in a semblance of where he left it. Most don't realize the real predatory aspect of that, because even dead for the day, there is some wariness, there's some ghost of the soul present. So if there was harm afoot, if there was danger afoot, it gives you that micro nanosecond more time to react and adapt to it. And adding the greatest insult to Zach's sense of art and vibrancy in life, Muzan mends the grievous damage from previous nights right before his eyes, Everyone thinks that Kindred healed, that there's a scabbing over and there's a eventual, though rapid, reknitting of the flesh. No, that's not what the Kindred do. The Kindred mend. The vitae in their system seeps to the surface and immediately, like small nano spiders, begins pulling open flesh closed or rebuilding like as if it was 3D printing missing limbs. The vitae acts as if it has a life, an alien life of its own, mending the flesh. Zach hasn't paid much attention to watching it happen, but he has no choice in this matter, because as horrible and horrific as Muzan is, there is some wild, savage beauty to watching the vitae do what vitae does. And for a very long time, Muzan, in claiming himself, has allowed his hunger to facilitate high and low, one or less droughts in his system. His beast doesn't snarl or snap at him in this moment. In fact, it lays sleepily inside him, watching the world as it always does. Realizing where you are, Muzan, and your flesh begins to knit, willed by your own savage intellect. What is it that is on his mind? What is it that he's preparing to do? Looking at Zach, looking at him. Dancer Dan, all but snoring, folded in on himself in the corner.
Muzan, are those the only people he sees?
Yes, remember that you all split along the lines of gender identity. The girls going one place, save Dax, and you all going another.
Muzan looks over to Zach. Well, I assume that this means we weren't all murdered in our sleep.
Zach gives a bit of a laugh at that. I suppose. Because it would mean that.
Is he snoring?
Zach kind of bites his tongue not to laugh. If I'm hearing things correctly, I believe so.
Muzan goes over to Dan and hovers over him for a moment, just staring, trying to figure out if he's just faking this, or if kindred actually do snore when they sleep.
It does not appear as if he is faking. It does not appear as if this is some affectation, though you don't put it past him to make such pranks or offhanded rude comments in regards to whatever it is that you all might have been discussing. It does in fact seem real. Would you be so kind as to roll your intelligence plus occult?
Oh, I do not know my dice pool for that offhand.
There's no fucking way. Kindred don't dream. Kindred don't sleep. Kindred fucking die for the day. Yet here he is, his chest rising and falling with the effort to breathe, his deviated septum visible as you stand over him, because you're able to see through all of that burned wreckage to the base of his, where the nose and the throat join, and you realize that you should have probably had surgery sometime before he died. But no, He's snoring. He's sleeping. It is the most glaring example as to how far the kindred have fallen in the fact that there's such an approximation of actual full-fledged life sitting here before you in the body of a kindred.
What the are you seeing this? Is he... Muzan puts his hand on Dancer's head to see if there's any warmth in his body.
Absolutely none. And for the first time you realize that you've never actually touched Dan outside of a handshake. And his hands were remarkably soft and well moisturized, despite the relatively savage look to them. Even the skin on the back of the hand was more actual tanned skin instead of the burned, wrecking visage of his face and head and throat. And you're hoping that's as far as it goes, but you know that the curse doesn't work that way. And when you do so, you hear and feel the skin cracking and breaking underneath your grip like very light, thin, overly cooked potato chips. Just crack, crack, crack. And you're not applying pressure. You're not pressing down. You really are just trying to gauge the temperature, but it's cold and somehow clammy. Yet the skin is brittle enough because of whatever fire damage melted his face upon death. And Muzan's not an icked out individual. He normally can swallow down most things, but watching skin break and fall in on itself like potato chips or burned leaves during the fall is an odd visual thing and a worse textural thing to experience. He snaps his head up. Hey, how you doing? No, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. I know we were to the point of rousing each other from the dead. Whoever came back to life first was supposed to get everybody else up and moving. Anybody going to pull Frost from underneath the bed over there?
Dad, do you know you snore?
Impossible. I don't fucking snore. I didn't snore when I was alive. I don't snore when I'm dead.
Zach, didn't he just snore?
Unless I was hallucinating, I believe he did.
With the amount of drugs that you've taken in your life and in your death, I'm sure you're hallucinating most times. That doesn't apply. That doesn't count for anything. No one snores. It's impossible for a kindred to snore because the snore means you're asleep, not dead. And we all know that we all die. Is anybody going to get Frost from underneath the bed over there?
Frost can wait. What is going on here?
I don't know.
That ain't normal.
I don't know. I died for the night and you suddenly are standing over me, stroking my head. How often have you stroked guys off when they were dead to the world?
Apparently not often enough.
And Zach looks over at Dancer Dan. How exactly do you know about that?
About what? Him stroking guys off? He just did it to me.
No, not that. About some of my old habits.
Are you fucking serious? Look at you. We're in the big bad wizard's house. Well, basement, I'm guessing. And you're dressed like you just stepped off the stage with Jimmy Plant. You look like you are the reason why Keith Richards' life took the turn that it did. You look like you invented heroin chic without the heroin. Because you smoked it all. You get it? You know? Makes sense? You look like the poster child for the Just Say No campaign. Like the reason that they cracked the egg is because they couldn't find any of your brain cells left to show the people. Like, this is your brain on drugs. This is your brain on Zag.
Molly back in the day. He says that was kind of a laugh and then moves over towards Frost.
What is Molly? I hear the kids talking about it, but I've never known what it actually is.
Ecstasy.
Ecstasy. There's nothing ecstatic about their fucking lives. You know that it takes them 30 years to buy a house that back in the 80s would have took us, I don't know, 10, 15 years? And this ancient motherfucker, I'm sure back in the 50s, what, you bought a house for the same price as we buy a loaf of bread these days?
I didn't own a house back then. I'm a little bit beyond that time.
40s, 50s? You knew Al Capone?
No. Before.
Hold on. Are we talking about Jack the Ripper?
I thought that was just a funny story they made up. I didn't think that was actually real.
Muzan just continues to stare at Dan with this confused look on his face.
You know, all of those Elizabethan Victorian stories like Jack the Ripper, Sherlock Holmes, Frankenstein. I hate to say it, but you know, Dracula too. El Polidori and all of those stuff. You know, those like golden age basic fairy tales that they turn into books, and which turned into movies, which turned into TV shows, which turned into movies, which turned into comic books, which turned into movies, which turned into comic books, which turned into books, which turned into, you know, it's a vicious cycle. I was reading this one the other day. It was Dracula in high school or stuff. Instead of being like the real Dracula, you know, dark haired, swarthy, Middle European, he's all glittery. He got his hair spiked up, and he looks like Ken brought to life, but hard and glittery in the sunshine, and able to run.
Yeah, it's not that.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I like the old man. The old man is sees him and knows something's off about him, but as long as he's treating his daughter fine, he's okay with the kid. But he doesn't know that the kid is like a stalker. Like the Dracula in the story is like a stalker. He like crawls through the windows and he watches them sleep, because like in that one, and whoever wrote that, I'm sure is one of yours that wrote this bullshit. But they don't sleep. They don't die for the day. They just 100% cognizant 100% of the time. Can you imagine how fucking painful that would be?
I didn't think you could get any stranger, and then you just continued to speak, and somehow every extra word out of your mouth made you weirder and weirder. I thought the snoring was the height of it.
I told you, I don't fucking snore. How can I fucking snore as I'm already dead? I don't need to fucking breathe, which means I wouldn't snore even if I could. And I didn't even snore when I was alive. So why would I snore now? That makes no fucking sense. You sure you didn't get into? You sure you didn't get into whatever that Zach had been smoking?
Is there a camera here? We have to have evidence. There has to be someone else who saw this.
You're gonna go on. You're gonna keep busting my hump about you imagining me snoring as you rub me awake. Why would you rub me awake? Why are you rubbing me off to get me up?
Because I wanted to see if you had a pulse again.
No.
Because it's fucking weird that you were snoring and breathing. I thought maybe something might have gotten into you or something.
You thought something that got into me, and so you're gonna rub me off. You're a weird guy. You're almost as bad as that. He stops. All joking aside, I don't know what it is that you thought you saw, but you clearly was mistaken. Right, Frost?
I mean, I heard some breathing. It was the last 5 minutes or so before you guys started talking.
There, you see, that's 3 people here. 3 people now.
But is he really a fucking person? Look at him. He's a mess. Even dressed up as he is, looking like the cast off of, some B-movie version of the Oscars. He's more dog than anything else.
Watch it!
See? He's already growling. Easy, boy. Easy. The sun's getting low, champ. The sun's getting low.
The fucking... Whatever.
And as he says this, being as he is the nearly the shortest person here, he crouches and he's extending his right hand and kind of easing closer to you. Easy. The sun's getting real low. Sun's getting real low, big guy. Yeah.
Yeah, at this point, for us, just gonna ignore him. Hey, anybody checked in on Dia yet?
See, it worked. And he stands to his full height. No, I thought they might have locked us in here. You never know with these sorts.
Well, I guess we'll go check on her and see what she has to say about you snoring.
Wait a minute. So, I think we just confirmed the theory I had. Dan does not shut up.
That's a little rude.
It's impossible. That's a little rude coming from you.
And Zach heaves a sigh. I need a fucking drink.
Just because I am rude doesn't mean I don't know it. It takes one to know one, and according to you, I never shut up, so I'm probably the best one to understand what being rude is. Speaking of which, not to bust your hump any more than it's already been busted. Or, like your mug, been busted. You gonna do anything about that or not? Or you gonna let them, piecemeal you? Like, the whole idea of it costing an arm and a leg is supposed to be a euphemism for how expensive it is. Not you actually doing it.
What?
Your fucking wolfy feet. Oh, what big feet you have there, Grandma.
Oh, ha, ha, ha. I couldn't. Unless I'd risk losing control.
No, well,
Like Zach said, and I also need a drink.
I got your drink.
You volunteering?
I got your drink right here. And he pushes Zach towards you. It's a good tall drink of, not water. Maybe it's roofied already. Roofied for your protection. Pre-roofied for your protection. I'm sure that if you take a bite out of him, that he'd be able to take it a lot better than you, losing control, and you can get rid of, Grandma's big piggies over there that you got.
I say the person who volunteered another person is volunteering.
You don't want to do that, big boy.
Oh, I think he does. Go on, Dan. If you're offering, go ahead.
They know each other.
Zach,
They've shared things.
Zach moves his way towards the door and goes to open it.
Oh, well, there's your meal ticket. Zach says no. You're SOL.
Mm-hmm.
And as you all filter out, following behind Zach, as you all exit out of the door, the camera of our mind moves through the hall further to its northeastern corner, rounding the corner to the room where Dia, Stella, and Faye have ended the evening. Now, when you escorted the girls away from Cone and the rest of the coterie to this room, were there any preparations that Dia made for dying for the day? Because there's always children who talk a big game. I'm ready to sleep by myself. I don't need a nightlight. And then hour and a half into their sleep, they're at the end of your bed, like some specter of forgotten yore. I need a nightlight. Can you tuck me back in? Could you check under my bed? Can you look in the closet? Can I sleep with you? And while Frost is a childer of her honor and ethics, Stella is a childer of her blood. So, are there any evening oblations you make for yourself, your childer, and her sister?
Seeing as how this is kind of Stella's first full night as Kindred, Dia is going to explain some things to her about how this all works. And she knows that Faye is going to listen in anyway, and that on the off chance sometime in the future Faye becomes like they are, she'll already be prepared. But she sits with Stella. Now, the thing that's going to happen to you when the sun rises is nothingness. Here again, having slept the entire day. Very rarely are there those who can stay some semblance of awake during the sun's hours. They are fairly old. There are also some who have enough humanity left to wake either really quickly or have dreams while they sleep. I do not know whether you will dream or not. Most times your dreams make no sense and make no matter, but occasionally they will warn you of things coming. So if you do dream, pay attention. Okay. You will probably get quite lonely by yourself unless you are indeed and well and truly tired once we cease to be for the day. And I know there are pretty words about us sleeping, quote unquote. I like to pretend most of the time that we are indeed just going to bed, but we will well and truly be dead. We are trusting you with our inanimate forms while they are inanimate.
She looks from you.
I know I can trust you.
She looks from you to Stella. Now here's the thing. It is impossible for Concordia as a Toreador to not have caught that how Cone made his initial approach to your group, to your cabinet. How Cone winnowed away the girls to apply the full pressure of his immortal silver-haired fox powers against how he utilized their youth as a rallying cry for the entirety of your group to catch your or any one of yours attention. They were a means to an end for him. And it is clear that even as stubborn and willful as Stella has been, based on the slight pinkish hue to the moisture in her eyes, that this is in fact a terrifying thing. You can feel her awareness, and it's focused inward on that feeling that you in turn have, the coming of the sun. It's been a long time for you. And unlike some members of your coterie, unlike some members of the kindred community, you never were the sort to exist comfortably with the dead. You were never the sort to leap into a thing because you could die. You operated from the opportunity that life had value, that the value of life was in experiencing the beauty in it and adding to the beauty of it. There was never a reason to be death-defying by willfully rushing after it. And it made your first few nights feeling the coming death that the sun promised fraught. It was one of the many things that you and Geneva spoke about, one of the many things you and Geneva connected over. Even though Geneva wasn't a member of the clan, there were certain aspects of them that quite easily could have been confused as such. There were aspects of them that were more Toreador than, well, most other Toreadors that you've met. There's always some posier or some artsies who believes they are the penultimate definition of what it means to be Toreador, when that's not it at all. There's beauty in all things, even including, but not limited to, accounting. Forensic accounting, forensic crypto analyst. There's a beauty in it, because one of the many things that you've learned over your relatively long life is that style is nothing more than how one person hides or seeks to hide what they find as mistakes in whatever it is they create. And parents' style is how they learn to cope with what came before. A child's style is, as they flit from one extreme to the next, is in finding themselves. A politician's promises typically are there to try to hide their glaring ethical or moral deficiencies. How a gunman enters a door, well, there's some practice there, and especially for the successful ones, but it's how they try to hide their own deficiencies, how they choose to hide what they see as errors in their being. And it is clear that Stella's style has been stubbornness, has been resolve. They are a resolute individual, giving their word, holding to it no matter the cost. But there's clearly more hope in them, that foolish hope of childhood immortality behind all of that bravado, behind all of that willingness to do harm, to embrace the beast. And now it's flitting away because there's no controlling that feeling. The sun is death, and you each all feel it in your own way. And she's honestly, earnestly feeling it now.
You will, in time, get used to that feeling. Learn to ignore it. I understand, though, the fear that it brings. We are underground and safely ensconced inside. So, my one point for the moment is I do not know what Cone is actually planning. I do know what he did when we arrived here. It scares me a little bit. I don't know if he can be entirely trusted. So keep your wits about you, my dear one. And you do not leave this room till we are awake again, Faye. We will make sure that you eat and bathe when we awake.
What do you mean? What did he do when we first got here?
Did you not pay attention to how he said he was co-regent when he introduced himself? But when we saw him last, he said that he was regent, meaning there is no co-regent any further. There was blood upon his mouth. Regents don't just give up their place.
I thought he fed, like he told us that he would help us feed with the donors, and I know it's stupid, and I'm doing my best here, guys, but I wouldn't mind being maybe one of his donors. He's kind of cute in that, George Clooney sort of way.
Do not. Hey. One, that's hardly something I don't want to think about ever happening. And while, yes, he has some charms of his own, what you're not getting is that he approached you instead of approaching me, when obviously I am in charge. He used you to draw Stella in, which drew me in, which drew the rest of the coterie in. He noticed that you are my weakness, Karen. So, staking yourself out like the goat in that weird dinosaur movie would not be smart.
But wouldn't you be able to find what he's really after if you play along?
Well, I do plan on playing along, just not risking anything of mine in doing so. Yeah. Wash your faces. I'm sure there's a bathroom provided. I know we're dead, typically, and we don't need to. We are Toreador, and put our best foot forward, always. Once you have washed your faces, get into bed, and I will help you forget that the sun is coming as long as I can. You have a favorite song? Something your mother might used to sing to you.
And they look at each other. It's ridiculous. But their dad always played Dominic the Donkey around this time. I know it's too early for Christmas songs, but he always played it. And it wasn't just a Christmas song for us. Whenever he got scared or one of us were actually afraid, he played music, and that was always in the rotation.
Dia has a quite bit of perplexement on her face, and she's heard the song before. It's not that she hasn't heard the song before, but it's very much a what the actual fuck kind of, but okay. I am familiar with that particular song. And while it is not my normal style, I think I can at least make an exception for you this evening. So she sits on the end of the bed, and they tuck themselves under the blanket. And she's going to, once the other two are kind of like close their eyes and start drifting, she's going to block them both in with her body. So that if anything comes through the door, she's the first one there. If either of them try to get out, they're going to have to get past her, kind of. Laying down on top of the blanket, and she starts the song, her own jazzy kind of, but soft style, making it more kind of a lullaby rather than Christmas song.
That being the case, would you be so kind as to roll your charisma and performance?
Should I have hit avoid Nessie?
If you like. Would you like?
It won't let me do it now because I re-rolled the failures.
Oh, yeah. Well, that being the case, what's your highest rank in presence?
It's a 3.
Okay, well, it's not a common nickname, especially not now in common parlance, but one of the many epitaphs for the Clan of the Rose occasionally were sirens. And there's a legend about a offshoot family of the Clan of the Rose that could spread madness with how unearthly they were able to sing or perform, or a combination of the two. The gossip changes, and how mad they drive their audience varies and shifts. Even having dealt with in passing kindred that fall under that banner, the daughters and sons of cacophony. It was always rumor. It's just someone who's just saying really well, someone who's really moving. But in this moment, in this connection, because that's what it actually is on Dia's part, taking ownership of Faye and Stella as their sire, taking them under her wing and owning them and battering away the wisping streamers of fear into the dark. Concordia pours every facet of her skill into calming them. Hesher pours every facet of her years of experience into reaching them and moving them into a calmer sense of themselves, to stir their resolve, to stir their bravery, to help them withstand the full-fledged might of all of that death burning its way through the sky. And in the doing, Concordia's voice goes from a dead mimicry of life into the sound that the dying hear as the chorus of heaven opens its voices to welcome them. In the matter of a few moments, a limerical song about a magical Christmas donkey becomes tale of heroes. It becomes the most moving and rousing of speeches sung by the voice of an angel. It becomes a rallying cry for wars yet fought. It becomes the most inhuman ideal of beauty that one has ever witnessed. And as the grip of the sun causes her voice to fall flat, to fall empty, and her eyes to shift and change into their dead approximation of themselves, as all semblance of life falls from Concordia, the girls snuggle in together, bolstered, brave and willing to face whatever might come, entranced by the moment, and gifted several additional moments past the rising of the sun to have their way and whim with the world around them. So as you all make your way to Concordia's room, where her and the girls sheltered for the day, as you all open the door, the thing that you smell, besides the subtle scent of Concordia, is... Now, Concordia, when you rouse for the evening, the scent of blood reaches your nostrils. The scent of cooling flesh pervades and fills the space. What is the first thing that you would do, as the door is now opening as well?
Look for where the hell that smell is coming from and try to figure out
right in front of you
what it is.
Right in front of you. Stella's fangs are still in Faye's shoulder. Her now not bleeding vitae beginning to flow once more into Faye's mouth as they cuddled and suckled and lasted a few moments into the day, as all life fled from good little Kindred. It was clear that they were not good little Kindred while you were sleeping.
Oh, Jesus. I'm going to take Faye's pulse and see if she is still on this side of living, but you said cooling, like she's not there anymore.
And the door opens. As Stella is rousing herself. Oh my.
Yes, her feet, staring at Stella. And pulls Faye towards her, gently trying to not rip Stella's fangs through her shoulders. See if there's any spark of life still there.
As you all open the door and see this happening, is there anything that you all would like to interject or say or do or otherwise involve yourselves? Because, yeah, you open the door and, well, the floor is on fire. The ceiling is falling in. The room is filling with water. The walls are moving closer and closer. What is it that you all do?
So Muzan sees what's going on, right? That
Yes.
they might be dying / dead.
Yes.
Oh, shit. Muzan heads over to the body to help inspect and see if he can do anything. He fucked up the last time, apparently, by not being there, so this time he's going to stick around.
Zach, Frost. And while Zach and Frost declare what it is they might be doing or contemplating doing, who's rolling, Dia or Muzan?
I vote Dia because my dice pools are probably going to be very low for this.
I was gonna say, what's the dice pool?
Well, whatever it is, you're going to have a +1. So the idea is just who's going to take point? Who's going to be the leader in the situation and begin to roll?
It's probably gonna be Dia because she's already closest and she's already got Faye in her arms. So
Excellent.
It's gonna be Dia.
Excellent. So +1 to wits plus occult. Zach Frost, seeing this, and Dan, who's bringing as close to the rear as possible, says, where you all can hear, fucking ain't right. Kids raising kids. This is just babies having babies.
Okay, does they literally hear those words, or is it more psychological, mental hearing?
No, he really did say it under his breath.
And with Zach seeing what's going on in front of him, well, he kind of mutters to himself, I see somebody overindulged. And he steps closer, but isn't doing anything just yet.
Looks like somebody listened to Dan's advice without even knowing it. Looks like we've got two child fledglings now. Dia.
You gotta be fucking kidding me.
And that's exactly
Three,
what
if you count me.
the result that Dia comes to, both her and Muzan, as they look over Faye. As they look over Faye, they realize whom they are holding. They are holding Dia's grandchilder in their hands. The first few moments of their burgeoning or soon to be immortality washing over them. The warmth of the body is surprisingly non-existent, as if they've had the rest of the day to suckle on and drink from Stella, who stands up and is doing her best to not smile at what she had the strength to do because of being bolstered by Dia, as if this was the only decision that mattered, as if this was not the mistake that it seemed to be.
She looks Stella dead in the eyes. You are dead for exactly one evening. You drag your best friend, supposed sister, along with you. Do you not remember what it was like to wake up as hungry as you were? She is going to go through that now.
But I'm here. You're here. You have experience now. And didn't Mr. Rose offer sustenance?
You're lucky I am a calmer person than I was in my younger days. Because had this happened in my younger days, child or not, I would end you both.
Hey, Dia, we don't tolerate child abuse these days.
Shut up, Don. Muzan, I need you to stay here while I go and get some sustenance from Cone. Keep her in here.
Faye's fingers begin clutching the air. Her forearms going rigid. Her eyes fluttering under some strange weight, not allowing them to open just yet.
I physically hand her over to Muzan, and she is still giving Stella the murder eyes. And marches calmly as she can out of the room, heading quickly to look for Cohen or other drunk friend.
Razan will hold the body and just shake his head like, this is... We're in twice the mess that we were now.
I couldn't leave her like that. I still have moments where her being close to me means that she will eventually die. This way, there's not an option.
You could have just fed her your blood. You didn't have to churn her.
You were an only child, weren't you?
No. I have a brother.
You don't love him a lot, do you? Or you guys just don't see him? So you don't love him. That's fine. So you wouldn't understand. You don't know what it's like knowing that you are a threat to everything that you care about. You don't know what it's like. You don't have anybody that loves you or anybody that you love. Everybody that you care about is in this room. You wouldn't know.
Anger friendly, quote unquote.
Technically a social combat, but if you would like to forego and just say that she wins, yes, roll your resolve plus composure. And you are in front of friends and people that matter, so your DC is 3 plus 1 plus... Yeah, so your DC is 5.
Roll. You said difficulty 5?
Yep. You got this. Hold your horses. Keep it down. You know. After all, she's just a child, or she doesn't mean what she says, or maybe she does.
I did it again.
All right, sir. Your bane is 2. So, which features of the wolf are you taking on? Is it your ears shifting into pointy Vulcan-esque, near wolf-like appendages? Do your eyes turn amber, or do your fingers, your hand, become more paw-like? Maybe it's just the fact that you suddenly become more hirsute. So which 2 approximations of a canine begin rocketing over your body?
as the anger wells up and your beast, instead of just pulling against the chain, completely snaps the chain from its mooring inside the center of you.
Fur? No, the Vulcan-esque.
Alright, and what's the other one? You get 2, my friend.
Ooh. Then I would say... Could his mouth become more bucked forward? Like fangs protruding?
Oh, yes. So, as you snap, because it's the last picture of your daughter you have, someone literally lifts it up, tears it into about 45 small pieces, and while you're trembling to keep from slapping leather and drawing down on them, they undo their pants and take a steaming, blood-soaked crap all over the pieces, runny and red like eggs dyed with food coloring all over them. That's what it feels like. It feels as if everything that mattered to you has been defiled, and just in that quick exchange. And there's an old saying, an aphorism tossed off: don't let your mouth write a check your ass can't cash. Because that's exactly what happens. And as you all watch as Frost shakes with fury, the unthinkable happens. You've seen it on TV. You've seen it in your mind's eye in books. You've seen it in movies. A vampire, a kindred, shifts halfway into a werewolf and lunges across the space towards Stella. What is everyone doing?
Would it be possible for Zach to use fleetness to try to move over to pull Stella out of Frost's way?
Yes. Frost, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your strength plus brawl?
Okay.
The result of his roll is your DC.
I just need to look something up real quick.
Under DC. Blah, blah, blah.
Browse check.
Did I do that right?
Fleetness. Oh no.
You only
Okay. Okay, so those 3 successes. It looks like my difficulty is 3. So now that I've roused for fleetness,
And the beast grows closer to the surface. In fact, close enough to the surface that with the small dregs of blood in the air, the moment that you grab or touch Stella, you will need to roll a resolve plus composure to keep from losing it. There is the scent of blood all over the room and soaking into Muzan as he holds the soon to be dead again Faye.
okay, so composure plus resolve, hunger 3.
Yeah, but go ahead first. Roll your dexterity athletics versus Frost strength plus brawl.
Dexterity plus athletics. Oh no. Okay, now for composure and resolve.
Oh wait, yeah. Even if you tied it, it would be goes to the aggressor, correct?
Okay, thankfully, composure plus resolve was a success.
Is there anything that Muzan is doing? Is unfurling in front of him?
He's trying to think if there's some way to stop the embrace from happening.
You can always just stake her.
Which would kill her. Which is also just as bad. Actually, that would kill her. Yes, that would kill her.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there's only one way to make sure that it is 100% accurate.
And what's Dan doing in all this?
He takes a step out of the room. He keeps the door open, but he takes a step back.
Muzan turns to Stella and says, I have gone over a century without making another of my kind. How the fuck have you not even managed to last one night?
A cinder! As Frost drives forward into Stella and Zach, who suddenly materializes as if she was beamed down from the USS Enterprise, as if he was beamed down by the USS Enterprise right at the moment that Frost makes contact. Frost was by the door by Dan and now suddenly there with Stella as they three tumble in a wash of Frost, losing his everlasting shit, slashing, clawing, attempting to bite. In his current half man, half kindred, half werewolf form. And finding your way through the lower portions of the Chantry is surprisingly easy. While there's no active person that you see, you can tell that your path is being marked by someone. You're not sure whether that's just paranoia from knowing that this is a Tremere stronghold or from experiences or what, but you feel as if you are being watched, as if you're being followed, as if your path of travel is being made easier due to some unseen hand. There's the normal kindred happenings, and then there's whatever and everything else that the Tremere do. And it is unnerving that the halls are kept. You could swear as you make that left that you heard voices, but when you step into the hall, there's no one there. You move down the hall and make that right, and you can still hear footfalls of people moving and this soft murmur of conversations on hand. But when you turn that hall, there's no one fucking there. And this goes on about 3 minutes as you make your way across the compound, the underground, isolated fortress and seat of power for the Tremere of Dalton. Riverdale, actually, but close enough. And as you reach the end of the hall, and it opens into what at best can be described as a
family rec room by way of Indiana Jones and the Fortress of Doom, the Castle of Doom, I forget what it's called. But it is proto-Indian-esque carvings along the wall. As if you entered into a great hall where some great magical working was done at one point or another, but has been taken over by a frat house. There's comfortable beanbag chairs, there's standing desks, there are all number of modern technologies designed to help with posture or sitting or otherwise bolstering the body, even as those seats are aligned close to books and what have you and things of the mind. It is clear that they are put there so that you could keep at it for hours on end. You can make your studies, you can read that book, you can get involved in those chemicals sitting on that table. It's designed to maximize efficiency. You're not sure how you knew, but you knew Cone would be here. And lo and behold, there he is. He and Bartleby and a dark-haired woman with mid-length brunette hair, big, wide, expansive eyes, and a resting bitch face that makes you immediately want to go slap her mother.
Steeling herself for what she's about to have to say, she takes a soft breath. I would normally be fairly pleasant and give you all a good evening in greeting, but I have a small problem I need taken care of, and I need a good amount of blood to take care of it. I hope that you can help me out with this situation.
As I said previously, we really do want to enter into a positive relationship with you. And as such, as guests, you are, of course, afforded all that we might have. All it requires is but to ask. What he means, I don't need your assistance, Bartleby. Yes, Regent.
Appreciate it. And while I can't again state my thanks, well, I can, but I have very little time to make this all work, so if you would please make this fairly quick for me.
But of course, Bartleby, Anand, would you be so kind as to assist Senator White with whatever she might need in regards to donors? The resting bitch face doesn't change. She literally has disdain for everything that exists, including but not limited to just you. You're just more of the same, more of the trifling, more of the beneath her, more of everything that she is already so over. And Bartleby's large frame is all but vibrating with the idea of getting you lives, because that's what donors are. Each of them represents a number of potential drops, but at the end of the day, if the beast was to have its way, each donor would be a single serving.
Looking to both of them. Okay, thank you. We will head back towards my rooms post haste. If you could grab the donors along the way. Again, this is quite urgent. I will explain later. But somehow I feel like, looking at Cone, you probably already know what's going on. It's just a hint or hunch on my part. Anyway, let's go, please. And she turns on her heel and heads back the way she came as quickly as she possibly can. just assuming that they'll be behind her.
Strangely enough, they actually are. Bartleby's long legs eating up the ground between where he was and slightly ahead of you as he walks alongside of you, his hands steepled and all but clapping in front of him. This is quite enjoyable. I can't believe that you all did it. You old dogs, you. That was great. I can't believe that you all helped Conan as much as you have already. It's enviable. I remember there was a time when he looked at me the same way. I remember there was a time when he thought that there was nothing but potential for me. The many things I regret. That's not one of them. Fuck that dude. How many bodies do you need?
Now, this is an out of character question. Do vampires typically know what generation they are, or is that more of an out of character
Yes and
trick?
Yes and no. It's kind of one of those things. Some people actually keep or memorize how detailed their previous family members are. Some people have the family Bible. They stretches all the way back to, before World War One. Sometimes even much farther. Others will clearly tell you, yeah, I'm 1/16th Cherokee. Of course, that's only because I got part of my family was related to Cher, and the others related to the Okies out there in Tennessee. So there's a range, and that range varies by belief, the faith they put into it, literally. Because just because you say I'm 12 steps removed from Cain, doesn't make it so, even including the more you believe it.
Simplest answer for this is newly woken childhood.
That does not quite seem like the correct betrayal, but okay, fine, that is what it is. You didn't ask, and it was brave of you to come asking for help. Look at you anyway, and here we are.
Wait, now was that Barnaby or Anon?
Bartleby.
Okay, so she doesn't respond to that. She's just like, whatever, bro, and keeps her head on straight because she knows she needs to get back to that room ASAP.
You all open the door to the room. Frost is atop. Stella and Zach have shifted into a wolf, slashing, biting, growling, and making a mess of the two non-fighters, the two non-physical combatants.
On for literally less than 5 fucking minutes! And she looks at Bartleby because despite his goofy demeanor, she's seen what his physicality somewhat is. She's like, I'm going to need your help, obviously. Please grab one of the other two and pull them off, and I will go for the other one.
And Faye snaps into the night. Her skin somehow becoming paler, even though it was clear that she didn't spend much time in the sun. Unlike most women of her generation, she didn't believe in the whole tanning. And because she worked at night and went to school online, there was a creaminess to her skin that was missing that touch of sun-kissed vibrancy. It's like she had the look, she had the price tag, but there was one thing missing, and that which was missing was the kiss from the sun. Her eyes clearer, her hair somehow seeming more infused with energy. Bright red,
and it is clear what those blood-tinged eyes demand. So what is everyone doing?
Well, since Faye is in Muzan's arms right now, he's going to focus on keeping her under control and pinning her down if necessary.
Oh, you sure? I thought you were going to throw her at Frost. He has a thing for newborns.
And obviously Dia is going to try to unwisely wade in and try to break up the fight.
And Zach. Fate, like every family member of yours, steps in with a purpose, and that is to undermine you. And as you blink from one distance to the next, using every ounce of speed that you can to get there, you get there just in time to take the initial brunt of Frost's attack. You take the claw and the bite, and before you know it, there's not enough of you to continue withstanding. What is it that you are doing?
Okay. Is Zach able to see the people who just entered, or does he just see Stella and Frost?
Stella, Frost, glimpses of Muzan and Faye, who is struggling to free herself from Frost's grip.
Okay, right now, Zach is attempting to try to push Frost off of himself and Stella.
Alright. Would you roll strength plus athletics, and Frost would be so kind to roll your strength plus brawl.
Oh dear. This is not going to end well.
On the contrary, it's going to end greatly.
For who?
For
Decibel?
content? No way. Damn. It was about to be like if we both got messy crits there.
Now, just for the record, could you paraphrase what Zach's goal was? Was it simply just to get away, or was it to get him and Stella outside the range of the beast that it is hard or impossible to not remember, ending your progeny's existence?
The latter of the two.
A ladder? Where's there a ladder? We have escalators and elevators.
You know what I meant.
So, Dia, would you be so kind as to go ahead and what exactly were you attempting to do? Just to pull them out of the way, or to pull Frost out of the way? And Muzan, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your strength plus brawl -2.
A specialty in grappling, would that apply?
Means there's the -1. Dia. Looks as if we lost Dia there too, some technical difficulties.
I think she said she was stepping away for a moment.
Okay. I didn't see that message. Sorry about that. Alright, so, give me a quick second. I'm going to borrow a peek at the sheet, and then I'm going to have someone roll. Who would like to roll for them waiting in to pull Frost back and away from all of this?
I mean, I can.
Excellent. So your die pool is roll. Well, no, we'll add it later. So we're gonna go ahead and Yep, it is a die pool.
He's back.
Dia. Welcome back. Would you be so kind to go ahead for a die with your hunger and to know what the results are? Several things happen at once, as they always do in the most tense moments possible. Witnesses to such chaos often say that it felt as if the world was moving too fast, as if things sped up, as if time sped up. While many others, those especially experienced with combat, will speak of how everything slows down and they're able to concentrate more, they're able to dial in easier. Both of those things are true because the mind is constantly taking in signals and symbols that our conscious mind don't have a place for, don't quite recognize what it could be, what it is, and what it might be. The coterie typically pausing for action, typically try to gauge the scene, typically try to figure things out before making a move in light of whatever they feel might go wrong. This is not one of those moments. This is not one of those times where cooler heads easily prevail. As Muzan drives Faye face first into the floor to keep them from escaping his grasp and doing something far worse than just hissing like a snaggletooth python. Zack interposes himself between Frost and Stella's impending death. Because that's all that Zack sees of Frost in this moment. He's his normal self plus, all in the wrong direction. The aggression's off the chart. The red hazed eyes are a mess. They're locked in and focused as to where he's intending to get to. And then Dia is somehow pulling him back so his claws don't actually connect. She's wrestling him back out of easy attack range of Zack, and it's almost enough to cause Zack to swallow down those bile-like memories that are attempting to escape into this moment. And with chaos afoot, with the scene going to hell, as far as the coterie's potentiality of moving forward, with violence being their love language, I'd like to thank you all for a lovely session, and I will see you all next time. Good night, everybody.
So this isn't the end of this, right?
So,
Oh,
good night, everybody.
Alright. Nighty-night.
Get some rest.
I'm gonna try.
Dear gods, good night.